Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Filmmaker Q&A for the Shorts Film Program, The Not So Distant Future. I'm joined today by my fellow film programmer, Sophia. There she is. She's going to be asking some questions to all these wonderful filmmakers today as well. And I'm going to begin by allowing everyone to introduce themselves. Let's begin with Sophia, just so we can hear your voice.
Hi everyone, my name is Sophia Abdigir and I'm the Industry Programming Manager at Real World.
My name is Anthony. I am the writer-director of Oh News is So Exciting. I go by he, him, and I'm based on BC, Vancouver.
I'll hop in and get myself out of the way. I'm Gavin Seal, director-writer of Followers. I go by he, him, and based out of Montreal, Quebec, Canada.
My name is Amarose Osage. I'm the writer and director of The Right Swipe, and my pronouns are she and her. I'm currently based out of Vancouver.
Hello, my name is MJ Asuza. I'm the director and writer of Free Money. My pronouns are he, him, and I'm currently based out of Toronto.
Hi, my name is Jaslyn Kaur. I'm the writer-director of Perfect Daughter. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm based out of Vancouver.
Hello, this is Yongjia Huang speaking. My name is Yongjia Huang. I'm from BC, Vancouver, BC. Thank you. Oh, sorry. I'm the director of Victim. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Magic. I'm the writer-director of On Naryonic. I'm based out of Toronto. Pronouns are she, her.
I'm Marina, by the way. I'm based in Toronto. I don't know if I said that, but I'm currently in Calgary. And I will begin our question period. Our theme for this program is called The Not So Distant Future. And I wanted to know how you think your film fits that theme. And we could start with Vanessa.
I'm very happy to be part of this program. I think when I got that not so distant future, I was trying to think about a future and sort of which the characters I create belong. I have a tendency to have Black women as a protagonist. And in this one, it's sort of about this dream warrior and spaces you go in your mind. So just trying to think about a future in which certain ways we see characters are displayed. So hopefully it's always that way in the future.
I'm happy to speak to Followers. It's a fable about a social media junkie who learns a lesson from the past about being present. And I hope I love the program of Not So Distant Future. I'm glad to have been selected. I hope it's, I'm a big fan of Black Mirror, but I hope this serves as a little bit more of an optimistic take that encourages people to look up more often. Hopefully something that, I mean, I think there's a time and place for things like Black Mirror, that dystopian future. I absolutely love it. But right now I hope to bring a little bit of hope for the next 3 to 6 months as we hopefully find a bit of a new normal. And then we can get back into like the dark, gritty, dystopian stuff.
What about, MJ, great.
I wanted to jump in just because you mentioned Black Mirror, and as I was pitching Free Money, I always said that it was like a funny Black Mirror episode. That's what my intention was, because I wanted to have that kind of, dissatisfying dystopian kind of 5 minutes in the future aspect to it, but also have more of the humor there too. And it's my movie is about UBI, which if you don't know is Universal Basic Income, which is the idea of income being a livable universal program for everyone in society. And I wanted to imagine a future that included that, and that included the idea of things like shelter and food being a human right. And so it's very kind of mundane because everyone should have that anyway. And so it's kind of like a future that we should have right now, but done kind of very naturally and very just in a very funny, lighthearted way, hopefully.
I feel like my film also kind of feels like Black Mirror at some points. My inspiration for the film was dating during the pandemic. So in my film, my character gets addicted to a virtual reality dating app and kind of spirals into the app. So I think that's why I guess my film works with the not so distant future theme, because I feel like that's something that could definitely happen soon.
My speed next. Yeah, I was I was wondering why my film was selected to Not Distant Future program. Because the Not Distant Future sounds like some science fiction program, but my film is not. I think the reason was selected to this program can be a part of my film. The performance form is internet internet part, which is the audience put their comments on the screen. We call it like bullet. How do I say? The bullet screen in that country. It looks like something happened in future. Yeah, I think that's why my film was selected to this program. Thank you.
For me, it's one word: robots. I don't think we're that far from having very human-like androids in the future. So I think that's why. And also, in my film, what would an image-obsessed family do to create the perfect sort of to continue to create the perfect image through their children? So that's kind of what I wanted to explore.
Yeah, I mean, O News is so exciting is basically a spec sci-fi. It's kind of like Lobster Bee, where, and I swear I wrote this before the pandemic, but the synopsis is basically people die when they turn 30, and it's a genetic disease. And then this family came up with this thing where, okay, well, everybody get to go through their own funeral because we all die at the same time. Yeah, I mean, I think the allegory behind it is to reflect on like what's happening in Hong Kong right now, where, you know, people in my generation are suffering, you know, and having not so much of a future, and having like a very limited, you know, destiny or you know, path. So yeah, but I think, yeah, I mean, it's not so distant future after all, right?
Yeah, thank you all for your answers. Yeah, part of creating this program was thinking about the future, but also the ways in which in all of your films you're exploring the kind of, you know, anxieties that are felt by all humans, whether it's around death or relationships, connections, image, and also fulfillment. You know, what do you do when you have all the money and your needs met? But one thing we did really notice was that, like, in all of your films, there was really original storytelling, whether it's playing with the form or taking an idea and kind of like bending the genre. Young, I'm going to start off with Young Jae. Can you talk about where this idea for your film came from?
Yeah, sure. I co-directed this film with my partner Yanni Chen. Yanni was my co-creator, my partner of the company we established in China. The program service, the company service for some commercial videos. That in 2019, the year before COVID-19, we tried to make a short film to participate some short film competition or film festival. We try to make some brainstorm to figure out what kind of story we can tell. And I suddenly remember something terrible I hate that made me a little bit angry. I have seen somebody sending some violence video in the social network chatting group in China. The video was displaying a group of young ladies to beat another single one. They were punching her and kicking on her. They abused her with some abusive language. Sounds like accusing of some of her due to seducing somebody's boyfriend. They were so trying to dropped her clothes all down, and they took the video to her. They were making fun like this. And they post this video online. The worst part was somebody in the social network chatting group were making fun about this video. They talk about her shape of body, the shape of body. They abuse her with some terrible words, and they transmitted this video to anywhere. This kind of situation not only happened once. I thought that was a really serious violence. Meanwhile, I have some question about this. What if this lady was innocent? So sorry about my English speaking. And I realized we need to talk about this. Then I tell this topic to Yeli, my partner. He said, yes, this is what we need to film. Therefore, we figure out to kind of, and then we figure out two elements. One is the woman to the man, one is the individual to the cloud. So we got the main idea of the film, which are how a woman can be injured in the society. Another one is how an individual was killed by the crowd. Yeah, this always happened in China. This is what the main idea we created. Yeah, thank you. Do I make sense?
No, for sure. And as you were speaking, I actually wanted to take it to Gavin, because yours kind of deals with similarly around, the ramification of social media and how that can affect a person's life. Can you talk about your film and how you came about wanting to make it?
Absolutely. Yeah, I want to say, like, hearing everyone talk about their films, I can't wait to see all your films. Followers essentially was written as a bit of a pandemic project, as an exercise to continue to, work some artistic muscles while being stuck in confinement. But essentially, and so I was dealing with that conflict of being stuck in isolation and wanting to be more mindful of how social media was affecting my mental health in isolation. And essentially, long story short, I killed my social media profiles. I deleted them, and but that left me with very little stuff to do in isolation. And so that's how this project came about, where I'm essentially personifying my social media profile, the way I present myself in what I think is my best light. Ultimately, there's a pretty brutal end to the story in the film, but it's this killing my social media profile through isolation. And ultimately, I hope it leads to people looking up from our collective screen addiction, this bad habit we've developed. As in a way, we went deeper into the abyss to find solace, I think, in community virtually. Now, hopefully, we'll find our way back out of that abyss.
Yeah, I'm going to pivot a bit to Vanessa, because yours, I think, out of the program is the most genre bending. It follows this dream warrior, and I find it interesting in a time where people are more isolated. People have been kind of retrieving within, and this film is very much about the interior and that slippage between reality and the mind and hopes and dreams and all that. Can you talk about your film and where you got the idea for that?
Yeah, I'll say, like, a lot of my ideas stem from my dreams. I've always been an avid dreamer since I was a kid. I have even today, I had a really long dream that I'll just speak about for full minutes about all the little details of it. And so I think in this, it was kind of based on a dream, but also I was watching a lot of films over the pandemic that were all action-based, and I tended to watch a lot of James Bond films, and the openings for them I really thought were really beautiful with the ways that they would play with film. And so I think my film is much different than everybody else's in this program because it's so experimental. And in it, I was using a lot of mediums to play with, like using acrylic inks and oils and different milks and putting these things together to get these backgrounds that this woman would be in front of doing these moves, trying to fight through this sort of chaos in her mind. I think just being stuck with all these ideas in my mind, I kind of thought what would be the best thing to do. A lot of the times it's easier to pull it inward, but what if you take the chance to push outward? And if you could actually fight those feelings with your body, how would you push them off? And is this also to think about, like, what do we do when we dream? Because there has to be a biological reason to do it, or else we wouldn't do it. But I've always just found dreams very fascinating in the dream state, and also the way that stories are told in dreams, because they're never really linear in that way. They're always sort of broken up, and you'll have like a piece of one thing that melds into another thing, and it sort of makes this cohesive story. But also it's like sometimes you'll remember a dream, like I'll remember a dream that I had today, but it wouldn't necessarily be from today. It could be a dream from a week ago that sort of pushed through my subconscious and has given me the story of something for today. So yeah, I just sort of wanted to just make something a little weird and out there and sort of play a bit with science and the things that you can kind of do, and then just sort of move forward to tell a bit of a narrative story.
Thank you. Jaslene, in Perfect Daughter, you have, you know, this family who meets a new neighbor, and the kind of common themes of, you know, being a child and balancing what your parents want from you and also fulfilling your own, you know, desires, and you show this through sci-fi, which I thought was really interesting. Can you talk about that choice, wanting to use genre to tell your story?
Yeah, I was actually, the idea came about during the pandemic as well, and I was watching a lot of sci-fi films at the time, and I thought, oh, it'd be really cool to make a sci-fi. And there isn't a lot of South Asian sci-fi out there, so that's kind of why I picked that genre. I just thought it'd be a cool way to tell that story, but at the heart of it, it's about the family. And the way I came up with it, well, the beginning of the film kind of starts with the question "Loki Gange," which translates to "What will people say?" So it's a phrase that I hate, and I think it gets said a lot in South Asian families as a reason to not do something. So this film is like my response to that. I also find that South Asian characters and families get portrayed a very specific way in films and TV. So I decided to take two families and make them so different from each other. You have the one family that's all about image and status, but on the inside, they've got this big secret. And then they're not very close, and there isn't that family bond. And then when you have the other family, you see that maybe they're not so perfect on the outside, but they're very comfortable with themselves and they're emotionally intelligent and talk to each other and are close. So at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what you're showing people on the outside, as long as you like know and love your kids for who they are. That's kind of what I hope people take away from it. So that was the idea behind the film.
Anthony, in All News is so exciting. Well, whenever death was present in your film, you know, the camera was a little bit more tighter and intimate, and whenever it wasn't, it was a little further away. You've already kind of mentioned the concept of your film, but could you talk about why you wanted to explore this, and also the process of shooting with your cinematographer to create your movie?
Thank you. When I was working with Peter, the cinematographer, we were trying to design a grammatic groove for the film, and what makes a private space, what makes an open space, where a private space would be a safer space, and an open space would be like endangered, because at the heart of the film, it's about a guy who's turning 30 and he doesn't want to die. So what can we do to fight the transition? What can we do to revert this thing that everybody's going through? Another reason that we were also choosing to shoot with these, with creating a space in this way, is because we shot in Coke's lens, but the lens that we got was primarily like wide lenses. So we had to think about, okay, how do we create a sense of, distance while still using wide lenses? And during those private spaces, they're mostly like in tight, small rooms. So that's why we literally had to like push it. But yeah. You made
Sorry
it.
about that. I'm gonna go to Rose. In your film, your character is dealing with heartbreak, but in doing that, uses this social media. And you kind of mentioned before the choice and the reason why you wanted to tell this story. Could you talk about what it was like shooting this film? Because in watching the film, I kept forgetting that it's technically set in just one space, but the character switches between, this being in her room and this virtual escape. Can you talk about what that process was like, creating the different looks between the two settings?
Yeah, it was kind of difficult because during the pandemic, finding locations is a bit hard. So we just made sure to use the one location that we had to tell the story a little better. And the story is kind of about isolation and loneliness, so it just made sense for us to have it in one bedroom. And even like the VR scenes are shot in that same room. So it kind of makes the character feel a little like claustrophobic and like suffocated in her space, and like the VR space is the only way that she escapes because it's the only time she's like somewhere new, if that makes any sense. So yeah, I guess it was a bit difficult at times to film in just one space, especially because it was just a bedroom, and trying to vary the shots because a lot of it takes place in the same place. But yeah, I don't know if that explained your answer.
Oh, very much. Thank you. And MJ, in Free Money, your film takes a concept that's actually been talked about quite often in Canada, a basic income, and takes a very human take on that. Could you talk about why you wanted to make this film and why you specifically use that as the theme or the story engine to tell the story?
Yeah. I mean, I guess it started with a feeling. I mean, people say that when you're writing, it's either like a character in search of a plot or a plot in search of a character. For me, it was like the feeling of being a person in like 2017, it's been a while, and just how that would like find itself into a movie. And so that was like, it was a long road between that, feeling of unease I had of like, everything was happening in the world and like how I could translate that into a short film. But I think it was really just, it was a sense of paranoia, I feel like, that informed the film. And the short film was about like an unemployed man and an underemployed man in the year 2035 who believes that his smart home is stealing from his basic income check every month. And so it's a lot of stuff happening at once. And I think the reason that it was so busy is because I wanted to kind of capture that feeling of like, a lot of things up in the ether and a lot of things to take in terms of the media and in terms of things happening in the world, and a character trying to make sense of everything that is happening to him, while at the same time kind of maybe realizing nothing's happening at all. Like maybe the smart home isn't stealing from his basic income check every month. So, I mean, it's kind of, it's a little bit convoluted to explain, honestly. But yeah, I mean, I guess I was drawn to it because, I wanted to create a future that felt like an exaggerated version of now, which was 2018. And really kind of like all the issues that we were experiencing then were, taken to a different kind of place in that future setting. And how I could, again, translate that feeling of paranoia, that feeling of kind of like unease about the present and about the future into an exaggerated future setting. But I guess the basic income thing in particular was, I guess that really kind of promised kind of a solution to an issue that we experience now, being like, automation and income inequality and things that are becoming worse. And, it was really imagining a future in which there was a means of addressing that. And the world it presents isn't by any means perfect. Like, it's not a utopia, but, to create like a topia, to create just like a vision of a future, which is not perfect and not bad or good, but just kind of like a way, a path we can go down was interesting to me. And what kind of problems would those people experience, and how could that relate to how I'm feeling now? I think that's kind of what ended up, coming out of just like me sitting down and being like, I feel weird. How can I create a short film of that? So yeah.
Thank you. That was great, Sophia. I really enjoyed those questions and those answers. We have to wrap up, unfortunately, but I feel after hearing everyone speak, I only have more questions about your film. You know, a lot of you were influenced by COVID, which I find fascinating. You know, themes of isolation, anxiety, technology, the blurred lines between social media and real life. I feel like there's a far more to discuss, and I know we're going to have the chance to discuss this again at the festival. So I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I want to thank Sophia for her really insightful questions. And I'd love to thank Real World for including wonderful filmmakers with innovative ideas and stories to the festival. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.